All right. Uh, Hi, my name is Graham Johnstone. Um, I'm a debater at Vestavia Hills High School. This is my second year, and I'll be going over rebuttals slash second half skills. All right, first, the speeches are the 1 in C. Rebuttal speeches are 1 in C, 1 AR, 2 NR, and 2 AR. And there is a 3 to 2 to 2 to 3 ratio between your and their case, but it's very situational. And just a general rule for rebuttals, you should start with framework and then your case, assuming that their framework is different. And go ahead and assume that framing comes first. Um, just a general rule of thumb, in case you have an inclination to start with their case, just go ahead and remember that defense is cool and all, and it helps, but it's not a voter. So prioritize extending your offense and weighing. Always use your time and definitely use off-time roadmaps, or else the judge should get confused, and that could tank your speaks and actually cause you to lose the round. All right, for rebuttals. Signpost. Basically, what this means is you're going to go ahead and tell your judge where you are on the flow, like whichever argument you're on or whichever card you're on. And ideally, what you're going to do is you're going to go down line by line, which means you're going to start at the top of the flow and then just go ahead and go down. It really helps the judge just for navigation. Remember, the judge is ultimately who you're trying to persuade. Two, you're going to go ahead and summarize their argument. This will really help the judge just with clarity and stuff like that, because if you don't respond to their argument adequately and you don't summarize their argument, then the judge is just going to go ahead and drop you, because obviously your defense is not going to be good. Cross apply some things and read your responses. Essentially what this means is just if you have a card that says kind of says the opposite of what your opponent's card says, say you have a card in your case that says compulsory voting will not lead to a greater turnout or something like that, just from last topic, and then they have a card that says compulsory voting will lead to turnout. You can go ahead and cross apply the card that you read that says it won't increase turnout to their card that says it will increase turnout, and that's just one form of defense. Explain your opponent's impacts. This is just helping with clarity of weighing and stuff like that. So you can compare the author's reasoning and the reasoning within the card and the actual evidence itself. And then you can also just weigh stuff. Yeah, I'll get onto weighing later though. Formulating arguments. Contradictions. You really want to go ahead and point these out. Point these out. Contradictions are huge and really eye-opening or appealing to the judge. Also, you can point out logical fallacies like correlation without causation, slippery slope, etc. Although you might not phrase them exactly as that. And you can go ahead and point out other consequences, negative consequences that their case could have. And another thing you want to do is attack the links or the probability or inherency and the impacts. If your opponent has no probability on the contention, or it's just straight up wrong, takes out the contention. And if they have no impact, then it just takes out the contention. So those are two really good things to do. Another thing you want to do is you want to compare and weigh your own arguments. This makes it really easy for the judge to decide between which argument they want to prefer in the round. And another thing, this is not as convincing really, but it's kind of a last resort thing. You want to discredit sources and or methodologies. If you have a card that says one thing and your opponent has a card that says the exact opposite, one thing you can do is weigh sources just for oh, I outweigh on credibility, or I outweigh on how recent my card was written, and that can really help between two things that contrast. Now on to common analytical arguments. No warrant, meaning that the reasoning is bad. No empirics, meaning that nothing in the past has led to the assumption that this will happen. And there's non-unique, meaning that it happens in both worlds regardless. You don't solve for the impact. No impact is just what you claim to the bad thing you claim to happen won't happen. And no link is just there's no way that the impact will happen regardless, because the probability is extremely low because of the situation. Extensions. These are extremely important on rebuttals. Signposting is huge. just an example of what you want to do is extend blank card name across the flow and then give reasoning for why they should extend it. Summarize your argument to help the judge, respond to your opponent's rebuttals, impact the argument, which essentially means you need to link it back to your framework. Like, say you have an impact of nuclear war or extinction, and you have a framework of utilitarianism. Obviously, extinction, and well, not obviously, some could argue that, maybe not, but many think that extinction is the ultimate bad under the framework of utilitarianism. So if you impact that out, it can really help you win rounds in util v util. Weighing in comparison is just like, my argument is more important than my opponent's argument because, and an X reason. Weighing again is just like comparing arguments, and this is for like mostly consequentialist frameworks like util, structural finance, etc. Ways that you can weigh are scope, magnitude. Magnitude is just like how big the impact is. Probability is just like the percentage the impact happens. Reversibility, meaning that like, is the impact reversible or not? Like, death isn't reversible because people can't undie, but you could argue that economic impacts are reversible because like the economy can just go up. Time frame, meaning like when in the future will the impact happen? Like, will it happen in 2030 or 2040? And if your opponent has an impact that happens in 2040 and you have an impact that happens in 2030, you can argue that you outweigh on time frame. And I think that is it. Yeah, um that'll be it for my presentation. Thank you.